Welcome to the Barkada Podcast.
Wait, are we recording?
Yeah, we're recording right now.
Shit.
It's okay. That was just the intro right there. We can cut and hack whatever, so.
It was also a joke.
Yeah, but don't worry. We won't include that stuff that was here before, so. Yeah, we have Drew. I don't want to slaughter your last name.
Last name's Mueske.
Mueske.
Yeah.
Whenever I use like Siri to call you, I'm like, call Drew Mueske. And it always comes up with like something kind of different.
Mueske or
Yeah. And I to make things fun with Siri, I changed her voice to Australian, and she's kind of fun. Mm-hmm. So to throw the Australian accent on top of that was, kind of funny at times.
Nice. Yeah. My theory is English.
Yeah. Cool, man. Like we've been looking to do this for quite some time. Probably since the beginning when I got the podcast up and going. But
yeah,
you're a busy man, and lots of things have been happening between then and now. So,
absolutely, yeah. Wait, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
Oh, the pandemic.
Oh yeah,
that's
right.
That's the thing. Always the thing.
You got me. I was like, wait, am I missing something here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think lots of. In almost every conversation we have people now these days that someone asks something about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes up in every conversation, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, I don't know if you guys are wondering what kind of snacks we have here. Drew picked some stuff up across the street from our neighbors.
Thank you, Carrot and Kale.
Got some oat bites. I haven't had these yet, but I've had something similar. You like these?
Yeah, they're delicious.
Nice.
Yeah, I make some similar ones at home too, but
yeah,
today I went the easy route.
Sweet.
And I double dipped on my drinks here. I've got one on the side too.
Nice.
Sorry, you asked that I get what I got. I added this on later on, so you didn't get that one.
All good. So what's the juice that we have here?
It's the sunshine juice, and I don't recall off the top of my head what's in it, but we can try to figure it out as we drink it.
I think there's some juice, some fruit stuff.
There's definitely some fruit
vegetables.
Stuff. There's definitely some carrots in there. We should look it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Maybe if we take a break.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Like, I've met you. I'm trying to think. Was it through some other people? Was it through Joshua and Carla, or?
I think we first met through Chris Larson.
Oh, okay. Yes.
At Beckett's, because I believe before you opened up Manila, you and Chris were kind of doing some pretty regular sit downs because he
was a big help.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it was probably at a jazz orgy Wednesday night at Beckett's, and then also through Josh and Carla, and
yeah, that was probably back at the time when we were trying to figure out like who to go to with uniforms and all that kind of stuff. So when I was thinking of what to wear today, I was like, I got to put something that Drew put together. Like, this is a shirt that was from like 10 years ago, man. It's still holding up pretty well.
Nice. Yeah,
it's a long sleeve Manila, I guess, athletic shirt and stuff, so.
Are those for sale? Do you want to give a plug?
Yeah, we have some shirts and stuff for sale at the Manila Market, and you'll see in the gift card and Manila Market video here at the break, we have a special going on. For every $20 you spend at the Manila Market, you get a $5 gift card for yourself or for whoever you want to give it to. So, nice. Yeah, the kids did an awesome job with that video. I don't know if you saw it yet or not.
I have not.
No. I'll have to show it to you, and then we'll get your little reaction afterwards. But
cool.
That's always like one of my favorite times of the year here at Manila, especially that since we got the kids involved. It started with Evelyn, and then we added Reginald, and this year Marie made her debut.
Oh, nice.
So, and everyone's like, man, I don't know how you got the kids to do that. And I'm like, well, lots of patience and lots of takes and time to edit the things down, So yeah. If we just did it one seamless cut, I don't know if people had the time to watch it, but it was fun. It's always fun. So
cool.
But yeah, I just remember like just working with you from, gosh, it was well before we opened up. So it's 10 plus years ago. Mm-hmm. And I just really enjoyed the process of working with you and your team, and it's been awesome, So
thank you.
Yeah. And you produce some really good quality stuff. I mean, like this is from 10 years ago, man. I wear this a lot.
Yeah. We've worked together on a couple dozen orders of apparel, and some other design work that we did for other marketing projects, but
Yeah.
primarily apparel.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, you helped us out also with American Outlaws Oshkosh Chapter, helping us come up with that design. The whole process is super fun to be a part of, and I'd imagine it's the same for you. I mean, this is what you do, right?
Yeah, that creative process, especially with like the Outlaws, like creating the logo identity for that chapter, that was a blast. I mean, we were able to have good creative freedom. We had elements that we need to bring in from the USA Soccer, American Outlaws, but we had whatever you and I came up with that we made sense and we could put together, and ultimately we're like, yeah, we want something cool to put on merch. You know? So that's a fun way to create
Oh, for sure.
Graphics, versus like a brochure design or a bank logo or something like that, where I've often had those opportunities through Offbeat Press to be able to really push the creative side and look at, how is this going to be utilized outside of, just the graphic, the logo identity, but, looking at merch especially. Obviously I've integrated that and pretty much all the identities I've created over the last 13 plus years. So
yeah, I think you've been such a huge impact in our community and continue to be,
Thank you.
I don't even know like how many people around here like you've worked with.
Well, it's funny how some of my friends or friends of friends, people I don't know super well, that have been like, so what do you do? And it's like, so as I start listing off all the local businesses that they know, I'm like, I do their apparel, I did the signs for these, I did the logo for this place, this and it's like, oh, so you work with all of the people, all the places that I go to regularly. And it's like, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But
Drew's the man
behind the scenes, as business to business as we tend to be.
Yeah, for sure. One of your most recent clients was Oshkosh Food Co-op, right? You were a help with there?
I mean, yes. Yes and no. Yes,
okay.
I created their new logo design, but actually they're not a recent client. I've been working with them pretty much from the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, before they were, before they had any idea of their location and stuff like that. My good friend Bridget Weber is the original, it came out of her senior project, so if there is a founder, she would be the founder. Obviously, as being a cooperative, it's not technically any type of founders, but so I've been working with her and the original board and stuff like that for almost a decade. I look back at it while I was working on the food co-op logo, and a long time. But we had the opportunity to create the Oshkosh Food Co-op logo, and that was a fun project.
It's a great logo. I really like the redesign of it too. And yes, it's not.
Thank you.
It's great that you brought that up too. That the whole co-op thing was like a very long process. It wasn't just like an overnight thing. Like, oh, let's build one here. Okay,
right.
A lot of people involved here in the community, and it was really great to see that come up together. This year.
It was. It has been a really great process to see, and it's a beautiful location, beautiful building, and a great crew that has put it together. The Oshkosh Food Co-op graphics, embarrassingly, I didn't personally, but we as a business also created the original tractor logo. Yeah. It was never intended to be a logo. It was a T-shirt design pro bono project that we created. One of my interns created a while back, and eventually they asked if they could use it as their logo, and of course, I said yes, but every time I saw it on a sign, I was like, oh, that's such a terrible logo because it doesn't even meet the basic outlines of what a logo is or should be.
Sure.
And it was never, like I said, it was never intended to be a logo, but it worked for them to get to where they are today, and where they needed to be able to rebrand and whatnot. So it sufficed.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this in previous episodes. You just have to start somewhere, right? And I think the timing of the rebranding of the logo and stuff couldn't have been more perfect. When the launch of the build and the launch of the opening and all that kind of stuff, it all came together really nicely. But this logo really pops. It's nice to drive by, see the sign all lit up and everything too. It's sharp, man. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, it's cool to see it used in so many different capacities too. In the parking lot spaces to internally and online and digitally. It's like the application of the logo is deep.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Nice. So let's go back. How did you, come up with the idea of, where did your passion like start, when you wanted to get into like graphic design and creating things for people?
Oh gosh. So some of that started probably in like middle school for me.
Okay.
That's kind of when I started realizing that my art and creative skills were pretty good.
Like where you're drawing stuff like during math class and science and
Some of that, yeah, but a lot of it was at home too, like
Yeah.
drawing and painting at home, especially like during the winter or when I was sick, in the evening, stuff like that. I remember being sick for like, I don't know what I had. I was homesick for like a week, and I just like drew like 10 hours a day at least every single day. And I was like, oh, I can create some pretty cool stuff here.
Yeah.
And, started really kind of feeling confident about my skills set at that point. And then I started like, getting some art awards, city awards, getting into, some stuff into some competitions in middle school and high school. And then, coming out of high school, realizing like, hey, I would, how do I put this to youth in a way, and got to learn graphic design and commercial art, and I went to school for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's back then that I kind of started realizing I had some skills, and I never really strongly considered like fine art as a career path for me. And I don't know if I was, if my parents might have pushed, that, away from that a little bit, or, they were always pretty supportive of my skills, but, they were probably more supportive than I was of my skills for a while. I was, more of a traditional sports kid growing up. I remember at one point, I was, I think, a sophomore in high school and playing baseball. I had won an art scholarship to go to an art camp for like 2 weeks over the summer.
Nice.
And I didn't even like, I don't even remember applying to it. There was some awards ceremony that I was supposed to go to that I didn't even like know about and didn't attend, and like got scolded for not telling my parents about or whatever.
Yeah.
But I tore tendons out of my elbow playing baseball, and wasn't able to go to art camp. And I actually was happy about that at the time, because I was like, I don't know what this art camp thing is. Like, I hadn't embraced it enough at that point, and wasn't mature enough in myself and confident enough in my skills that it was too different from what I was accustomed to, I think, to kind of like go off to an art camp. And, like, I don't even remember any details. I don't remember even applying for it. So I think that's part of the reason I didn't go to the awards ceremony, is because I was like, I don't even know if my teacher had, put me into it or whatnot. But I was happy about not going to that camp, and I was looking back on it, I was like, that's obviously a stupid thing to once I embraced the skill set. But I would have much rather played baseball all summer than miss 2 weeks of baseball for art camp back then.
Mm-hmm.
So
right on, man. I think with our generation too, what makes it interesting for us is like, I think we've gone through it all really, because when it comes to like technology and pre-technology, like, I don't know how things were put together like graphically for production purposes and stuff, but I can't imagine trying to do stuff now without a computer or
right.
you need like those design programs that help, and it can help you do things that you can't just do on paper, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, when we were probably some of the early, I know in my school, growing up in Ribbon High School, my class was like the first class to have like use of the internet, like to like use it in school, or our that age. And you were probably in a similar situation there. So, at the time, like graphic art, it was all done by hand. It was primarily done by hand, back in the mid to late 90s. I graduated in 98. You're a little younger than me? Is that
2001.
correct? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's changed a lot over the years. So from the early years of using computers for design to what it is today, I mean, technology, changes everything. So it's a lot easier, but, the core tenets and stuff like that, you can't learn through an easy program. So there's the offline education, the compositional elements, the color theory and typefaces and as well as the depth of like strategy and marketing that I bring in on a regular basis that not every designer does. That's not necessarily a core tenement of graphic design, but that's kind of my 15 plus years of small business ownership and work with thousands of businesses and organizations. That it just makes sense to look a little deeper and bring in that strategy and vision and foresight and try to take a higher level approach at it.
Yeah. So you went to school at Point, right?
I did. Yep.
Yeah. Were you seeking out like some small projects at that point, for people, or like how did you get your first gig, I guess?
Sure. Well, my first like entrepreneurial gig, if you will, was actually doing drawings in school. I started this, I think, my senior year of high school. I did a really cool, at least at the time, I think it was a really cool John Lennon drawing. And then a lot of people, like the Beatles, and then wanted a copy of it. So I started making high-end copies and selling those for, I don't know, $20 a piece or whatever they were. And that worked. It was like, oh, people are into this. So I started doing like a bunch of different classic musicians. I did a Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and Bob Marley, and I did Jim Morrison and a variety of others too, and I started selling those in the dorms and in school. I remember even selling one to a telemarketer that called my dorm room. I sold him up. He's trying to sell me whatever, and I was like, how about you buy it?
Yeah.
I was like, who's your favorite musician? And I literally sold him one and shipped it to him.
That's awesome.
So that was my first personal entrepreneurial gig, was doing drawings, and most of those were pencil, charcoal, or Conte crayon. So it's like a black and white crayon. I think that's primarily where I got my first little entrepreneurial dipped my feet in, if you will. And then my first graphic design gig was for the Stevens Point UW Stevens Point Women's Center. Did graphics for their Take Back the Night March. Oh, so it was a friend of a friend, or actually my friend, a good buddy's girlfriend, I think, was the head of the Women's Center there. So yeah, it was a pro bono gig, and as many things were back then. Did it for free and for fun, and and it went on. They used it for merch and shirts and stuff like that too. So that was my first T-shirt design as well.
Nice, very cool.
Yeah.
Then at that point, did you put the stuff together, like the shirts and stuff as well, or did you send that out somewhere?
I did not do any of the printing at that point. I didn't have that skill set back then. So yeah, just the design elements, and then gave them the graphics. At that point, it was computer graphics, so that was probably like sophomore, junior year of college. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
Did you at that time have a name for yourself, or you just self-titled?
Yeah, no, I did not have any sort of business name at that element at that time. I did not have any sort of website.
Sure.
I think I made my first promotional website as a senior in college. So
nice.
Yeah,
that was back then when you had to do all your coding and stuff, right?
Yeah, I think I used. I think I did use a program, Dreamweaver, and I think Adobe bought that program.
Okay.
And I don't even think it's called Dreamweaver anymore. But yeah, there was some basic things, but I did do a little bit of coding. I've never been a full-on web developer.
Yeah.
I can hack my way through but I can hack my way through a website myself, and I work with professionals when I need, want something better and cleaner. So yeah, but you've done some website development or design.
Well, thank you, Squarespace.
Yeah, technology.
But I mean, it's just about like putting the pieces together too, right? And just using the tools that are available for you.
Absolutely, and that's, Squarespace or WordPress, that's not that different. I mean, most professional web developers use, one of those, WordPress being the biggest one of those, template based web services that are out there, and using those tools. So, even the best do that.
For sure.
Give yourself some credit, buddy.
Hey. Nice. So after Stevens Point, well, where are you from originally? Like you...
Ripon.
Okay, that's right.
Yep.
Tigers.
Ripon Tigers, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So after Stevens Point, where did you end up then?
So I spent 4 years at UW Stevens Point, and then I saved my last semester of college to go to London and study abroad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was technically through the University of London, but it was the study abroad program through UW Stevens Point.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to pass 1 out of 4 art elective classes to graduate, so it's a very, very stressful semester for me. I traveled the majority of that time throughout Western Europe, primarily a little bit in Eastern Europe, but thankfully passed all of my classes and graduated. But I was fortunate enough to be able to be at that point and not have student loans. So I was able to graduate without student loans, but I had pretty much no money left at that point. So I chose not to walk for graduation.
Okay.
My mom tried to pay for my cap and gown and to get me to walk, but I was pretty against that at that point. So I was happy to not do that. I think I had attended my sister's 4-hour graduation ceremony, and it was like, nobody should sit through this.
Right? Yeah, they are long.
They can be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was living in my parents' basement outside of Ripon, and I started my first business while I was living in their basement, and it was a pretty nice basement. I had a ping pong table down there,
that's all you need.
A pool table in the lower level of the basement, and whatnot. But I started my first clothing label, my Progress Label clothing, there, using some of the designs and artwork that I had created while I was in Europe. So it's stuff that was in my sketchbook. I didn't really do much like computer design there, but I had a pretty robust sketchbook, and probably half of my first 2 years of shirt designs came out of sketches that I had created, and some of it out of I had an art show while I was in London as well. So some of it was stuff that was part of that art show, and so started making some shirt designs, and then started working with. I didn't do any printing originally myself because I didn't have the equipment or the space for it. And though some people do some really DIY screen printing, you can do it in a very DIY hack job sort of way. I wanted to create, a professional looking clothing label, and I didn't feel like that was a good way to do it. So I did work with a variety of local printers. And it was people that I, had met, people that referred to me. Probably worked with a dozen or so printers, print shops over the first, 4 years of that probably. And out of that experience, I realized one, there's some opportunities, but also I realized and learned about water-based inks and looking for better quality of products. So looking at organic fabrics and American-made fabrics and garments, and kept diving into other apparel options, other apparel production processes to figure out how to do something better. I ended up working with a screen printing company in two of them that specialized in water-based ink, one in Olympia, Washington, and another one in Berkeley, California in 2006 and 2007. And the one in Berkeley, I had decided I would work with for all of my summer shirts for 2007. And at that point, it was the first time I was going to do a whole line of shirts that were all going to be this is my summer line, So I think I had 7 new shirt designs coming out, and I had all the designs done in, February or whatever to send in, and I ordered all the blanks from my suppliers, and I paid for the blanks at that point, and then shipped them to the printer. gave him all the print specs and ink colors and that sort of thing. And I had worked with them in the past as well. And then I prepaid for, I think, half or 2/3, maybe it was 100%, I forget exactly, of my work for the year, and it put in like probably half or more of my life savings at that point. And I was supposed to get my stuff back, I forget, May 1st or whatever, and I wasn't getting the communication back as to how things were going in April, and I didn't get anything by May 1st, and I didn't get communication back, and no one's answering my phone calls or emails and returning my voicemails. Eventually, I think, like the phone was off the hook for like weeks and whatnot.
Wow.
And I was able to like find the manager who I had primarily worked with. I was able to find his home phone number somewhere online, or what, I don't know what I did if exactly. Maybe we can't talk about that. But I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, man, I haven't worked there in 2 months, and I believe it's closed. And like, what? So I'm like, how do I get my stuff back? And he's like, I'll see what I can do to help you. And eventually he got me like the majority of my shirts back, maybe like 2/3 of them, and they were like half printed and incorrect. And it's like, yeah, it looks like the owner tried to do some of it himself or whatever. He tried to have someone else do it and whatnot. And like, I lost out on like pretty much all the apparel that I had invested in. I had paid for the apparel as well as paid for the printing at that point. And didn't get anything usable for that summer, and tried to get through some of it and find some other print shops to do some of it, but really put me in a rough spot. And out of that experience, I decided, all right, well, there's no water-based print shops in the Midwest. Two, there's got to be better solutions out there. So I decided to dig in deeper to look at creating my own print shop. Around the same time, so in addition to doing my artwork at that point, and my apparel line, I was also a freelance designer. At that point, we skipped over the part where I worked at an ad agency for 1.5 years and whatnot, but that wasn't the greatest experience either. So I was a freelance designer, I think starting at the age of 24. So I've been self-employed since then. So I was doing a lot of design work for other businesses, bars, bands, restaurants. And then, because they all knew me as a t-shirt designer too, I was doing a decent amount of merch. So I was working with some of the same local print shops as well, to deliver the merch that they needed, and using the relationships that they had. Not everyone wanted water-based inks, and obviously one of my vendors that I relied on didn't work out for me. So around the same time, one of the primary local print shops that I worked with, the owner approached me, and he was getting up there in age, and he approached me about buying his business. And I had actually never considered owning or buying a print shop until that point. And so I entertained his offer and looked at his financials and whatnot. And so having seen that, as well as my own experiences, I at that point started thinking deeper about opening up a print shop. So I did that eventually a year later. I did not buy the other print shop. I opened my own instead and realized I could do it, one, my way, and felt like there was a good opportunities to do things better. And two, you can do it cheaper in that regard, because rather than buying his book of business that really I didn't want, it was like mostly like athletics and promotional products, and I was always been more on the retail side of things and trying to create retail merchandise for myself and for others too, and just looking at a higher level. The other print shop that the guy that was selling, he relied on like the phone book for his work, for his marketing, and the old ways of marketing, and I was not interested in that. So when I opened up Offbeat Press, we were like, we by far had like the best website out there in our industry in a across Northeast Wisconsin, maybe across the state at the time, because there wasn't much. Everyone was still relying on the phone book and the yellow pages. So rather than, naming my print shop A1, so I'd be top to come
A1
up in
print shop.
Yeah, that's why people would name their companies stuff like that, because they're the first one listed in the phone book.
Oh,
That's where that comes from. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I got a dad joke.
Okay.
I don't know if I did this already in another episode, but anyways, why are there so many Smiths in the phone book?
I don't know why.
Because they all have phones. Okay. There's the dad joke of the day.
Thank you.
But no, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clever.
Clever, yeah. So I opened up Offbeat Press in the fall of 2008. We opened, and of course, 2008 was like the height of the economic recession. There was like the huge stock market crash earlier that year, and it was an economic downturn. But we had opened so small that it didn't affect me in the same way. If I had bought that other business and paid, tenfold and gone into debt in that regard, that would have been different. Instead, I put my life savings into buying used equipment, and I bought it from, another print shop that was, or embroiderer that was trying to be a print shop or whatever. So I bought all used equipment, and we built a couple things, and we started in a very small space in what was pretty much mostly an abandoned building over on Bayshore. And we continued in that building and grew from there. The space that we were in was an old loading dock space, so it's just fully concrete on all sides, and one side of the room was like 1.5 feet lower than the other side of the room, and it was cold, and there was gaps in the brick, and you could see out to the river through the wall. So that was our original print shop at Offbeat Press. And I didn't do that alone. I did that. I opened up Offbeat Press originally with John Pata, and he was part of Offbeat Press until the end of 2009 when he wanted out to work in the movie industry, and he's done a great job of making his dream happen in that regard. And props to John for his extremely hard work in being able to pursue his passions.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I went to school with John.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
He was now known as the Lured System. And I've got to know him and his family pretty well too. So
cool.
Yeah, it's cool, all the connections and stuff that you find out you have with other people as soon as you start talking and sharing your story, right?
Yeah. Yep. So that's the beginning of Offbeat Press.
Yeah. I remember walking through there, I don't know, a year or two ago. You were kind of showing me the place and stuff like that. And
oh, yeah.
You grew into that space, you guys had a lot of stuff there.
We do. We did. Or they do. And we grew within that space. I think we expanded 4 times over the course of 12, almost 13 years that I owned it. We haven't gotten to the part where I sold it, but that's coming.
What?
I think. Is that coming? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to act surprised it was brand new news to me.
Oh, yeah. I sold Offbeat Press.
You did?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Earlier this fall.
Earlier this fall?
Yeah.
Is it something you were ever thinking about?
When I started it, I didn't think about selling it.
Sure.
But I also didn't know what it would become. I started it with other people, and I already had a successful design business at that point, or somewhat successful, small and growing. I mean, it was enough to sustain me and also fund the print shop. So I guess that I would consider successful.
Yeah.
I was 25, so my expenses were practically nothing. So. It was successful to me at 25. So, or I think by the time we started Offbeat Press, I was 27. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't have plans early on to sell it. Over the course of the last couple of years, I had kind of decided that was the course that I wanted to get to. Because as the business grew, I got further and further away from the creative side. Even though I continued to be the creative director, my passion always laid on the creative side, and I honestly think that's where I've got the most. My skill set's the strongest, really, too. So, running a small manufacturing business as Offbeat Press has turned into, became less and less exciting as I got further away from my passions. And, even when I was able to work on creative projects, we weren't able to get in as deep and do as much work as many of my clients actually need, and as I preferred to do. So when the opportunities, not that the opportunity just arose, but when I created the opportunity to sell, I was confident. It took me a year and a half to like wrap my mind around I'm ready for this.
Sure.
And then the process of selling, was practically another year. So
yeah. Well, kudos to you, man. I know it change isn't always easy, but I think for you to be able to recognize that the time was right, and you wanted to get back to your true passions and stuff, and helping people out the best way you can. Like, running a business is just a whole nother animal. Like, you're responsible for everything, to make sure that everything, and I know you want to make sure that everything runs the way that you want it to be, so that means all hands on deck.
Yeah. I mean, when you're a small business owner, you wear many hats, that, and whatever needs to be done, if other people can't or don't, take care of their workload, or the workload just is beyond what, other people can handle at that point, it falls generally to the owner.
Yeah.
And sometimes even to the owner's family, and everyone picks up where they can. And, for me anyways, it's always been, I work endless hours to do whatever needs to be done, to, meet the needs and expectations of my clients. But at some point also it's, not always that fulfilling when you're always working for other people, and especially, for me on the manufacturing side, versus, being away from the creative side, it became less fulfilling. So happy to be able to step away from that. And I've been able to do it in a way where I brought my lead designer with me.
Okay.
So Offbeat Press has sold, the print shop has sold, and I brought my lead designer, Desiree Forget. She's been working with me for the last 5 years. So she's also part of Hype Visual now.
Hype Visual.
Yep.
Did you have that name before?
I've used that as the design office.
I thought I've seen that.
Press.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I've had a website up, and actually it's not up right now.
Oh. Well, we can still plug it in.
Yeah.
For future listeners.
Yeah. It'll be up again soon, hypevisual.com.
Right on.
But yeah, we've used that as a design office at Offbeat Press over the last 5 or so years.
Sweet.
To show off the majority of the design work we did at Offbeat Press over the last 5 years was not t-shirt graphics or apparel graphic design. It was a lot of brand identity, a lot of branding, and marketing strategy, and we named dozens of businesses and brands and marketing taglines and slogans and creating brand stories and stuff like that.
Posi Fit with Patricia.
Yeah, that'd be one of them. Yep. Absolutely. We got to work with your wife.
Yeah. 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 Dude, that's so cool. I can't even trying to think of all the clients that you've worked with, but I mean, can you name them all?
No. I can't.
Let's try. We got time.
I'm gonna have to grab my computer and go through my client list. No, I know I've worked with having sold the business, I had to put some of this information together. So at Offbeat Press alone, I've worked with close to 2,500 clients.
Dude, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Yeah, and most, if not all of those are, well, not all, but most of those are businesses and or organizations. So we weren't really much. We didn't really work with individuals often at all. I mean, there's individuals that would try to start a business that weren't, didn't necessarily come to fruition for whatever reason, and at that point. But it's pretty much all different businesses from from all over, really.
Yeah.
So
Well, I got to give you props. Like, you helped us put together the logo for Barkada Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fun process because, I mean, the whole purpose of the podcast was to help spread awareness of people, my friends in the community, while also sharing bits and pieces of my Filipino heritage and stuff, So, and we do, our filming and recording here at Manila, and I'd like to think everything works together, and I think you did a great job putting together and combining like the elements from both Manila logo and like my little pen sketch of the my idea for the Barkada podcast and stuff. So
cool.
Yeah, I'm every time like I get some new work or some rough drafts from you, I'm like, oh, dude, that's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I tell you about the only other podcast logo that I've created?
Yeah, sure.
At least I think it's the only other podcast logo I've created.
Okay.
It's the one that comes to mind anyways. It's for a professional comedian and friend Steve Gillespie, who I also went to high school with and has performed at the Ogoma Club.
Yeah.
He had a podcast called Naked Under These Clothes? No, Naked Under These Sheets. Maybe it was just Under Our Sheets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was I think they called it a free sex podcast. That was essentially him and his new partner at the time. Started a podcast going through discussing their sexual adventures and their new ideas. So we got to create a logo for that. So two very similar graphics.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Right? So that's where you got the ideas for. No, I'm just kidding. Well, that's fun, man. Like, he was great. He was funny. And the people that he had with him, too, that performed that night, how many years ago was that? 3? Something like that?
Yeah, probably.
I have to get him back. Maybe a Hype Visual sponsored event.
He'll be back in the area. I think he's got an event in Appleton and at another client's place, actually.
Yeah.
In February.
Very cool. So he'll be back.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. What else, man? Do you have any words you want to share with like your previous clients and stuff, like, that made Offbeat Press what it was?
I mean, it's been awesome to work with so many different businesses and organizations. It's been a really like educational for myself too, to just learn from all the different business owners that I've worked with. Most of my clients are, have been small to medium-sized businesses where I've been able to work directly, or we've been able to work directly with the owners or either upper level management. So I've been able to, learn how their processes, work and their decision making, and and have, a number of, great meetings with different awesome people such as yourself and Patricia, to just learn like, hey, what's important to them. And through all of those experiences, I've learned so much. So I'm like very grateful for all the things I've been able to learn and all the connections that have been shared with me and in my business. Part of this local community, Fox Valley community, Oshkosh community, is there's such a great referral network. Everyone, if you do a good job in business, people will refer you. And I've had, as someone that's, all of our clients are businesses, I've got friends and clients that'll call me for just about anything. Like, hey, I need a business that does this. And it's like, all right, I got these 3 and here's their contacts. It's like, I've been fortunate to be able to have that. And for that reason, I've supported my clients. Like when I go out to eat, I have a list of places that I go in my head and it's all my clients, I don't really go beyond that.
Yeah.
If someone says they want to go to Applebee's or the Cheesecake Factory, I'm just like, absolutely not. I don't really do anything corporate though.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's really cool, man. And the impact that you have on your clients, is very apparent, because I know someone, one of them reached out to you and was like, hey, we want to buy you lunch. Where do you want we get food from? And you said Manila. So thank you for that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And they were doing that for, 3 years, I think it was, like in a row and stuff,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yep.
that's very cool. How about for like those aspiring artists and stuff out there that are kind of at a crossroads between like, do I go get, you know, an everyday 9 to 5 gig, or do I go out and like pursue like my true passions and make a job for yourself, you know?
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I think most fine art and art schools and, you know, most music programs are similar, and a lot of other entertainment type programs are really lacking is that entrepreneurial aspect. I didn't learn entrepreneurial skills when I got my fine art degree, even though I had my emphasis in graphic design. It was still a fine art degree. You know, and you know, as you know, you and I both know a number of people that, you know, went to school for music, and you don't learn those entrepreneurial skills. You learn how to master your skill set,
Yes.
you know, and become really good at what you do. But there's the whole business side of like being able to sustain yourself economically,
And know your value, right?
know your value, and yeah, and so many different things, you know, how to do that. That's one of those areas that's like it's so missed, and it's missed in across most educational programs, you know, most 4-year educational programs, in a lot of different fields. So, I mean, step one is like, understand if you want to be self-employed as an artist or a musician, any sort of creator, really, you know, it takes more than just being really good at your craft. It takes the entrepreneurial mindset and the business skills and knowledge. And, you know, as most artist friends that I know, is they really, you know, they hone their craft and focus on that, and they want their work to speak for themselves. Unfortunately, that's rarely the case, that it's going to just speak for itself. You need to be marketing your work and doing it in ways beyond just posting on social media. If you're really good at it, you know, the social media, yes, that can be enough to promote it, you know, your work in a way. But there's also a lot out there and a lot to get through to be able to be highlighted on social media alone. So, you know, the marketing aspect and the business side of things are, I can't speak enough about the importance of those things. And that's stuff I learned along the way. I mean, after I graduated from UW-Stevens Point and finished up in London, I took an entrepreneurial training class at Fox Valley Tech in 2004 through the Venture Center, which is their entrepreneurial center. I was part of their E-Seed program, is what they call it. Their E-Seed being entrepreneurial seed.
Oh,
Yeah. Through that program, I met probably my primary business mentor, my most influential business mentor, Amy Peach. And I've continued to work with her and throughout the last 17 years now, I believe. And Amy has referred clients to me. She's hired me for different projects. She's sent a little bit of college work, you know, apparel graphics to me. And I've also presented in probably 24 of her classes in different ways. I've met with, she had international students in from Lithuania, and I came in and met with them. She does a regular veterans program, and I've been part of that a couple times, and actually was able to meet and then hire someone that I met through that. So the networking aspect is incredibly important too. And you know, don't be afraid to ask people for recommendations and referrals and stuff like that too, especially your happy customers. You know, your work alone is very rarely going to be enough to promote, that people are going to promote you without you asking. So.
There are so many great people, you know, in our community or wherever your community is. And there's lots of resources like you found out at the tech. I mean, there's places like Venture Project, you know, with Aaron, and the resources that he provides. University has their own like entrepreneurial program and stuff there. And it's everywhere, man. Like you said, just don't be afraid to ask for, you know, help. It's okay. And a lot of these things have been done before, and I would more than happy to make the time to someone that, if they had any questions about starting up a restaurant, be like, okay, I'll let you know what I went through so you don't make the same mistakes again, so.
Yeah.
But, that's really cool, man.
Yeah, thanks. And for me, in my experience of kind of like finding my path, like when I started my clothing label, I remember going to 2 different organizations, I won't name them, and both of them were like, you're based out of Ripon, Wisconsin, you're trying to start a, forward-thinking clothing label. Like, they both have just kind of like shot my ideas down. Yeah. And I get it. And then when I met Amy and went through the e-seed class, it was like, she first, listened and learned, and then, kind of like, all right, that's completely different. And like, she understood, like, hey, you're trying to be disruptive and different to the marketplace. Back then, disruptive wasn't like a good entrepreneurial term, I don't think, in general. But now it's like, it's like the hip entrepreneurial
yeah, it's embraced,
term.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's the way I look at it from marketing too, is, be different. You be authentic, be different and stand out. If you're just trying to blend in, then, man, good luck.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think this is a good pausing point here. But I'd love to have you back on again.
Okay.
We got lots of stuff to talk about. We're going to show you guys the gift card and Manila Market promo video, and we'll get his feedback on what he just saw.
All right. I'm going to have an oat bite while I watch.
Right on.
All right.
Hey everybody, we're the Ombus family, and we wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas from all of us here at Manila Resto.
It really is our favorite time of the year, and we got some new things to add to this holiday season.
For every $25 you spend, you get a $5 gift card. For every $20 you spend at the Manila Market, you get a $5 gift card. A what? A $5 gift card. What can you get at the Manila Market? You can get this water bottle with Manila M. You can get this water bottle with Manila Oshkosh, Wisconsin on it. And you can get a mug with a Manila M. Maligayang Pasko! Merry Christmas! Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
From all of us here at Manila Resto, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Hey, that was a great Christmas video that you and your family put on for Manila.
Hey, thanks.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was beautiful apparel there, too. My favorite is the onesie that Evelyn, Reginald, and now Marie have graced.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's held up.
Yeah. They done it. You done good. All right. Did you get the sunshine one?
I did.
Okay. So it's the orange, apple, kale, spinach, lemon, parsley, and ginger. Right here.
Cool.
Almost gone.
My only guess was carrot, and there's no carrot in it.
Yeah, there's the kale.
Kale. Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah, and these oat bites are awesome too.
They are.
Quick.
They always have those ready to go, like grab and go.
Sweet. Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they posted a nice picture of Manila maybe, I don't know, a year or two ago when it was nice and snowy and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they have a nice different angle because for whatever the design back then, right? It's like kind of half street level.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, coming out of their lower level windows. Yeah, it's a nice little half underground location there, and they actually have a good amount of natural light.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool, man. To wrap things up, what are some things that you like here at Manila that you're responsible for the Offbeat roll, right?
I am?
Well, I named it after you, I guess.
I think I actually did get to create the ingredients too.
Yeah, I think I asked you, like, oh, what do you like?
Mm-hmm.
And then we just put it all together.
Yeah.
But I think the one that you had for your 10-year anniversary that you
Mm-hmm.
created, that was awesome. I don't remember the ingredients, but it was so good. I'm sure we can find it somewhere. But
good question. What was in the
Offbeat X roll?
The Offbeat X roll. It was smoked salmon
Okay.
instead of
The fresh salmon.
fresh salmon.
Yeah.
and I want to say we got rid of the cream cheese.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think it was the same cucumber, avocado.
Spicy mayo?
Yeah, I might have had spicy mayo too.
And we made it bigger. Or made it into an X for 10 years.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, we had a fun party up there.
Yeah. A lot of fun. We'll have to do another one when your hype visual stuff celebrates another milestone.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
Or we'll put on something fun for clients or for entertainment.
Yeah. So, okay, all right, one more question about like the sell-off and everything. Are you able to? Is there anything in your contract that states that you cannot work with any of those clients?
No, I can't work with any of those clients in the same way. I don't do any apparel production or printing or any of that element. I split off, so we've got a unique sale agreement and non-compete and design services agreement that kind of outlines what I can and can't do, and so we're so it's clear on both sides. But yeah, so I'm able to continue to do design work for some of the same clients and bring some of that with me. Or it's up to them, obviously. If they wanted to come with or not. Offbeat does still have a designer. The former part-time designer is still with Offbeat Press, so they still do have their creative department as well. But but we're doing Desiree and I and Hype. We're doing a lot of brand identity, branding work. We've got a couple large projects we're working on right now with 2 different organic farms where we helped write marketing grants with them.
Okay.
I've done that with a couple farms over the last couple of years. So they these 2 clients both got USDA marketing grants that are specifically for the growth of organic farms.
Nice.
So it's like a second stage growth grant or third stage growth. I don't know exactly how they put that in. So we're working through each of those projects. Are actually just getting started. Both of them just began around November 1st of this year, and one of them I just outlined all the different projects, and I've got at this point 37 different projects as part of that grant. So working through that, a lot of small stuff and different things, and both of those clients I've worked with for a number of years, and like I created their logo identities as like stage 1, and kind of like I've worked with so many small businesses over the years that I've had kind of like different a la carte services that I've been able to offer. So started small with both of them because they both started small and were both new farms at each of their times and when they began. And they've both grown, and they're actually very different farms. But so we've got those 2 projects going. And then we're working with Appleton Beer Factory, as I have for a couple most of the last year or more now, and doing a variety of marketing and branding for them, helping really build out their brand. So many small businesses have a logo, but they don't necessarily have they don't have a brand identity. They rely on their logo, but they're missing the cohesive identity that they can apply to all of their branding. And when you look at like someone like a brewery, there's so many opportunities to do cool stuff between the beer labels and the internal graphics and the apparel. I mean, I know breweries that pay their owners salaries just based on apparel they sell.
Wow.
So there's a lot of opportunity there. There's also a bar in town that does that.
Really?
Have you ever been to Pete's Garage?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep.
They do a pretty darn good job.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we were just there, I think last week or something. But yeah, always a fun place.
It is a fun place. They do a great job with a lot of things, but apparel is one of them.
Yep.
So with different clients, we're doing a variety of different things, and I mentioned my mentor Amy Peach. We're actually in the process of putting in. We're in the second stage of proposal process for a huge project that'll be well beyond branding and marketing. It's like full on strategic plan, and and marketing implementation and whatnot for a significant nonprofit in the area.
Very cool.
Ahead of their capital campaign. So so that's a big project and someone I've worked with on and off over the last couple of years. So
Good.
but yeah, there's a lot of cool fun stuff coming.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to ask you now, put you on the spot, but I'm sure you'll say yes. I finally came up with a name. Well, I think I finally came up with a name for like my creative aspect of like businesses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. At first, I wanted to do Barkada Creative, and then I didn't think in this market that too many people would understand it. But I always love the further education and explaining to them, what Barkada means and all that kind of stuff. But then I also thought Obvious Creative would be cool in terms of just tying, the name in. And Patricia's been kind of help get involved in a couple other projects with me too. That she has a little bit more time, that she stepped away from the teaching stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we have enough time to really decipher or break things down, but initial, thoughts on, between the two for, what we're kind of shooting for. It'd be mainly like, for digital content and content creation, like videos and photography and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot I could get into. The way I start is full on brainstorming. It's to write down everything. I think I went through this process when I named Posi Fit with Patricia. We did a shared Google Doc and we had to write down every name that came to us, and good, bad, and ugly, and just put them down and get them out and whatnot. Between those two names, between Barkada and Ambus, I would go with Ambus. I like your last name. It's more memorable and easier to say than mine. But also, you're from the area, and you have name recognition in the area and a lot of great connections. And
cool.
And most of those connections speak really highly of you.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, thanks, guys.
You've been doing some things right.
Right on, man.
So I would go with Ambus.
Sweet. Good. I went ahead and just started a little something. I'll show it on the screen there too. But it's just simple. But I wanted to ask you to basically take it to the next level when it comes to it.
Cool.
But again, I'm tying kind of the color scheme and stuff from other things that I'm involved with. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the walls, I got the red base, orange middle, and then the yellow top, So
yeah.
That's kind of the inspiration when it came to putting something like that together.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd love to sit down and dig into that a little bit further with you, man.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Are we going to record it?
This is how the process goes.
Maybe not for Barkada.
Yeah. No, it's fun. And I always loved working with you and look forward to continuing doing all these fun things together, so.
Absolutely. And we'll be looking for partners. And what we do is as we build out our brand identities and marketing strategies and stuff like that with our clients too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it sounds like you guys have been plenty busy already since the sell-off and everything, right?
Well, part of me staying busy has also been like helping with transitions. It's not like I was done on on October 1st when the papers were signed.
Deuces later.
Yeah, that's not the way it works. So there's been a lot of work to transition the business, and the new owners don't have any background in the graphic design or the apparel production or printing industry.
Yeah.
And they're not exactly hands-on either. So there's been a lot of education in and around how the business operates and how what's made it successful to this point, and then all the minutia and account transitions and stuff like that too. So there's been a lot of work around that. So between that and the work with Hype, I've stayed plenty busy for sure.
Good.
I've been telling people that I entered pre-retirement, but I don't know what that means actually. So because I'm working pretty steady.
Yeah, it's hard to not want to do something that you're totally into, right? I could see you doing this for forever.
Yeah, I mean, this
to a point.
This is what I used to do in some capacity. I just have, back when I was a freelance designer, I just have, 13 years more experience now in working with 2,500 plus other clients in a variety of different marketing related ways. So
Yeah.
I hope I'm better than I used to be.
I think so.
So
Yeah.
we've got a good core like skill base with Desiree Frege, is a super talented illustrator and designer, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head exactly different things that she's done. Actually, we're looking out the window at the graphics for Carrot and Kale.
Mm-hmm.
Some of her illustrations pretty small in comparison to what her capabilities are, but
Oh, she was responsible for that?
yeah.
Nice.
Yep. So her and I have worked together on hundreds, maybe thousands of projects at this point. So
Very cool.
yeah, looking forward to the next couple hundred
Yeah.
and thousands. So where we'll be able to get in deeper and really push the creative side even more.
So are you looking at getting like a new office space, or are you just working from home remotely?
Working from home
Okay.
at this point. I've looked at a couple of office spaces and actually thought I had one lined up and something fell through. But yeah, so
Nice.
you got some space here. You got a basement to rent out.
Yeah, we can fix it up for you. I was just actually thinking about that today, about what we can do, and it's just space. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Let's talk. But
Yeah.
hey, always, man. Thanks you for everything that you have done, and like I said, I look forward to working with you in future projects, and even just kicking it. Like we should be.
Right. We do so little of,
I know,
but it's been a weird year and a half. So
yeah, that stuff happened, and life too.
life, right?
Yeah. So yeah, for more information on what Drew's doing soon, right? The website will be up.
Yeah, there's a very generic landing page up right now at
Okay.
hypevisual.com, hypevisual.com.
Nice. Right on, man.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks.
cool. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for having me, sir.
For sure.
Always good to see you.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We'll get a little bit of a life update with you
Let's do it.
to see how things are going.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening to the Barkada Podcast, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Happy holidays.
The next episode.
The next episode. Ooh, cue up Dre.